So please welcome to the AGC stage, Robert.
Thank you for being here tonight. I know you could be just about anywhere else, but you're going to have an experience that you probably would not have had out there. First, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. I am a whip cracker. Think Indiana Jones, Lash LaRue, Snidely Whiplash, if you like. Yep. And I work with 6-foot, 8-foot, and 12-foot bullwhips. Now, the fun thing about them is that they give you the chance, if you get somewhat good with it, and people want to see you do it, you'll get invited to places like this. I remember I was invited to perform once in Montreal. I was on a stage that Sarah Bernhardt had walked across, and I felt like I was in some sort of temple. And I took my assistant, pretty girl, and gave her a candle and lit it and said, I want you to stand at the far side of the stage. Hold the candle up in front of you like that. I'm going to be over here. I've got a 4-foot bullwhip, and I'm about 20 feet away. She was told when she hears the whip crack, blow the candle out. I thought it would be a good joke. So I went into my kung fu wind-up, sent the whip out, crack. Candle went out, foo. I waited for the laughter, nothing. I looked, their jaws were open, they thought I had done it. I didn't do that one again. I try not to play with people's expectations that way. But it took me, well, years ago in Texas, I was a journalist working for a newspaper. At that time, they had 2 big newspapers in town. And I was on an assignment, and I saw somebody cracking a whip, and I said, oh my gosh, that has got something to it. I don't know what it is, but I want to do that. So I went out to a little tack shop on the outskirts of Houston, bought my first bullwhip, a 4-foot, 4-plat, nubbly little thing, about 30 bucks. Took it home and beat myself half to death. I could not get that thing to crack going away from me. It seemed to want to come crack hello to me. So I got one of these assignments to go out into the hill country, where I would interview a coot, an old coot, get some interesting backstories, write some character sketches, that sort of thing. Met some really interesting people. Good Texas history. And I pulled in, and the rancher was waiting for me there. And he got up and looked, and he saw my bullwhip on the back seat of the car. And he said, you crack a bullwhip? And I said, yeah, like I did. He said, I do too. And I said, oh yeah? So he got his whip and I got mine. We were standing on the porch. Now in Texas, the horse flies are big as quarters. And there were quite a few of them buzzing around us that day. So he looked at me and said, pick one out. Oh my gosh. I had no expectation. I was going to be happy just to get that whip out going away from me. So I sent it out, and it cracked, and oh my God, beginner's luck was with me. That little fly exploded like it had hit a windshield. And I took credit for it. There you go. What do you think of that? He said, that's pretty good. Let's see what I can do. So he took his whip, got ready, rolled it out, crack, missed the fly. The fly kept buzzing on, undisturbed and unperturbed. And I said, aha, you missed. And he said, oh no, that fly will never have children. That was the first lesson, humility. You've got to have humility if you're going to be working with a whip. Define humility. The ability to laugh at yourself. The willingness to try again and again and to fail again and again until you get it. Humility, keeping things in proper perspective. God bless that old rancher. Second lesson. When you dance with a whip, the whip leads. You don't make a whip crack, you let it crack. The power is already in the whip. If your form is correct, the whip will crack, and it will have some real power behind it, because every time you hear that whip crack, it is breaking the sound barrier. 761 miles an hour, 1,100 feet a second, 1,224 kilometers an hour, 340 meters a second. Yes, even a little one like this. $761 miles an hour. A bullet leaves the barrel of a gun at 750 feet a second. This is faster than a bullet. And it lasts about as long as a motorcycle accident. So, if you can imagine, don't even imagine, see it. A 90-pound girl on the back of a horse, barrel racing in a rodeo. Do you know what barrel racing is? Good. When she gets that animal going, she does not muscle it to the left or to the right. She gets the energy moving and then she guides it. And that's all you do with a whip. That's why someone 4 feet tall, 3 feet tall, hell, there was one a year and a half old and he was cracking a whip, believe it or not. Australia. What I also saw was that if I was tense and tight, the whip was tense and tight. Suddenly I became aware that this thing that supposedly was outside of me was an expression of me. I tried. I'm an American adult. I tried to relax. I have no idea how. So I resolved I was going to learn from anybody and everybody. Whoever had something that I could apply to what I did, so I could learn. And it was a dancer who told me, this is how you relax. Relax your butt. Try it. Right now, where you're sitting. It works. And it's good for any occasion. I use it when I'm at the airport in line. Relax your butt. The dentist's chair. Open wide, relax your butt. Relaxing. Kids are born knowing how to relax. somewhere along the line, it's beaten out of the adults. What I saw was that kids were easier to teach whip cracking to than adults. What I do now is I'll take an adult and I need to make him back into a child. That is, I need to make him teachable. How do you do that? Well, first of all, you take the whip out of his right hand and you put it in his left hand. And then you say, okay, crack away. And they're clumsy and they're awkward and they're embarrassed. And there's a lot of laughter at this point. And after a couple of minutes of doing this, you take that whip again and you put it into their other hand, the right hand. And what you see is they're amazed at how much their left hand has just taught their right hand. That's because when you do something like that, you're training both sides of your brain. The adult, critical thinking, the child, in the moment, at the same time. And suddenly, the learning curve went from this to this. There are days I wake up, I put my wristwatch on my wrong hand, just to shake things up a little bit. I love doing that. Now, what I learned as well was that, well, this is a history lesson. Well, let's talk about Rachmaninoff. Do I have to tell you who Rachmaninoff was? No. Good. Well, he came out with his first symphony, and God, he got skewered by the critics. Absolutely blasted. Didn't know if he was ever going to compose again. His friends, fearing he was being self-destructive, took him to one of the early psychiatrists who used hypnosis on him, and he gave him this suggestion. What do you want to write? A concerto. Okay. You're writing your concerto. You're writing with great facility. It is of excellent quality. That concerto turned out to be his second piano concerto. And it worked for Rachmaninoff. I was experiencing a block in my performing, so I decided, okay, I'm going to try that. I'm going to try hypnosis, self-hypnosis. And I did it. I'm working with my whips. I'm working with great facility. It is of excellent quality. And nothing happened. And it took me a little while to finally figure out why. I gave myself a new affirmation. I'm working with my whips. I am working with great facility. It is of excellent quality. And I am having great fun. If it ain't fun, you're not going to want to do it. So, keep your eyes open. More people are cracking whips these days than ever before. It's something that's around the world. It's on the walls of the pyramids. It goes from Mongolia to Australia to the ancient Celts. Whip cracking. There's just something satisfying about having that much power in your hand. And it's available and accessible to anybody and everybody. When I'm working with a whip now, I have like a Zen moment. And it's beautiful. And those are the 5 life lessons that I have gotten out of wood cracking. Perhaps you could apply them to your own lives. If not, at least I told you some interesting stories, because there's nowhere in the world when I'm working with the whips, and I mean in the world, from Denmark to Australia, that I don't hear in the back of my mind that old rancher saying, "Oh no, that fly will never have children." Thank you for your time.
Thank you.